Yeah, man, it is January the 28th, 2025. I appreciate all the concern and commentary. I've been doing well, just haven't been doing much videos, but this is actually the first one for 25. And, hopefully I'll do a lot more. I've been thinking a lot about starting to do more just like a show. I've came on here thousands, literally thousands of times, and just talk about my story and my updates and what's going on with me and what I believe about remote neural monitoring and what I know about gang stalking and those kind of things. But I think it would be good to hear from everybody else. So I'm gonna look into like maybe setting up something where people could just call in and not like long form interviews. I've done that on the channel, and I'm not against that overall, but I think it would be more interesting just to have, you guys call in and or be on the show for 5 or 10 minute just little quick talks and kind of start leaning towards more of a doing a show type of format rather than just giving updates about my life with gang stalking and whatever. But that said, I will give you an update. So my gang stalkers are still around. They're still doing artificial telepathy and broadcasting to me physically. And it really had kind of slowed down, is what I could say. And then, but it's like the more you think about it, the more it like reminds them like, oh, I should be doing some stuff to him. But I will say, like, a lot of people have come into my comments over all these years and said, if you just ignore them, they'll leave you alone, which it's not true. They won't just leave you alone if you ignore them. If that was the case, then I could have made them ignore me a long time ago, but it doesn't work that way when you try to ignore them and they try to do even more to get more attention from you. So, but on, I will say that um, if you become consumed with your own life and doing what you do every day, and almost just like keeping yourself super busy, and you're not into like things that would be interesting to them, um, a lot of them do kind of find something else to do, and I'm sure they just find somebody else that's acting more wild to be more interesting for their live streams. So that's probably what a lot of them do. I do still have they always check in, I guess, and there's some that still never leave, but overall, it's pretty boring for them, I think, and um, they've still been doing stuff physically. I still get little chirps on my eardrum, and I wake up with like hot streaks across my body that where they're on me and they do stuff, and maybe there's long term damage to my body for all the things that they've done over the years, like permanent damage. Um, but overall, I keep myself very busy, and I've talked about all of that over the years, and it's been like less of me focusing on them and more of me focusing on what do I want to do with my own life. And I was telling somebody earlier, it's like um, somebody was saying like we were talking about financial stuff, and I got the sense that they were like waiting on their ship to come in, and I feel like for a long time I was doing that kind of thing, like waiting for my ship to come in, and for a long time I felt like I would get this resolved and get a settlement, and it would be like this big thing, and maybe it will be, but the day that I decided that there's going to be no ship coming. There's no ship that comes in. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to have to do this myself. And it's going to be a process, and there's going to be a lot of work. And it's just like anything, you can't work on something for one day and become an expert, or you're not going to come up with one idea and next week you're rich. It's just not like that. Not even a piece of a percent of the time. It's just not like that. And what's more likely is you're going to make a lot of sacrifices and a lot of good decisions and a lot of effort day in and day out and day in and day out. And then over time, it's not going to be that ship that comes in, but it's just going to be these little rafts that come in, these little rafts and these little rafts. And before you know it, though, you know, 5, 10, 20 years later, however long it takes, you look up one day and you've made yourself so much better that it equals that ship. That ship has come in, and so there's a process to it. And I feel the same way about like this resolving this whole thing with gang stalking. It's not. I don't think that Donald Trump is going to save us. Okay, we know that he didn't before, and we definitely know that Joe Biden didn't save us, and it's not very likely that Elon Musk is going to save us, and I don't think anybody's going to come real soon and save us. Then it might over time become more and more or less and less of a secret, and then we become more and more likely to come to a resolution, and those people responsible become more and more likely to be held accountable. And that's what we want, right? We want all of the people that did this to us to pay the price, and we want what we deserve. And so that's the ultimate goal. But meanwhile, you don't want to waste decades waiting on that to happen, because maybe it'll never happen. Life's not always fair. And maybe 20, 30 years goes by and we're still dealing with stuff like this. And you can tell that there's more and more people that this happens to, because more and more people come out talking about it. And like my channel just continues to grow and grow and grow. Whether I do videos or not, there's always more people finding my videos that have dealt with the same thing. And they say, oh, my experience is the same as yours, so you know what I'm talking about. And that just continues to happen. So it's not like more and more people are just going to keep having this happen and nobody's ever going to come out with anything. It's going to happen. But meanwhile, don't spend too much time waiting around. Make progress every day in your life. And, you know, I've been trying to kind of be motivational to all of you guys. I mean, I know how it was for me for the longest time. Like it literally had me where I couldn't function throughout the day, like dealing with people that are somewhere else, just being able to talk to you and knowing what you're thinking and all of that. Like it's so difficult to deal with, and it's so devastating to even come to the realization to suddenly realize that these people know what you think. They know every thought that crosses your mind. And I remember how devastating that was. And I remember just not even being able to consider like uh, going to school or going somewhere to make some money or being able to tolerate that. And over time, I just did more and more and more. And over time, it became easier and easier for me to do those things. And I'm still doing those things. Um, so I know some of you have been hearing me talk about it for years. So the latest update would be I'm still working full time, at least like overtime every week. I always work more than 40 hours, and um, I'll be finished with one degree for computer programming this semester. And then in about 2 or 3 more semesters, I'll be finished with the second degree, cybersecurity. Both of them are associate's degrees. And then I may switch to something else, or I might continue on that same pathway. Um, I'm very much into like finance and music and video production, and I've been into, if you watched my stuff for a long time, then you know like I've put out like music before and all kinds of stuff. But I'm into like astronomy, so I have a lot of different interests. The flow arts for like personal growth, um, but the computer science is something that I've already invested a lot of time in. So I may just continue with that and continue to go to a bigger, better school and continue down that pathway. Very interested in financial stuff though, and I study that all the time without it being like official. And any electives or uh, classes that I can take that are associated with that, accounting and statistics and economics and different things like that. Um, I'm into all of that. So I'm still doing very well, 3.8 GPA. Every now and then they shoot me like a little scholarship. We have the Hope Scholarship here. It's based off like the lottery. If you keep a high enough GPA, then they pay like $100 per credit, which is not a lot, if you're not going to a super expensive school, it's maybe almost half of it or something. And then they might hit you with like I don't get the Pell Grant, but um, there's a lot. There's a lot of ways that you can go about making yourself better, and I'm doing those things, and I still work every day, and so that's the update on me personally. I still have gang stalkers that bother me constantly. It hasn't been in person in real life like the street theater type of stuff. It hasn't been that in many years, but if you want to know about that and things that have happened, there's lots of videos on the channel about that kind of stuff. But I won't make this a really long one. I wanted to come back on. It's been a couple months since I've been on, and so it's time for me to kind of put out a new video to let you guys know what's going on. I'm not gone. I'm not going anywhere. It's just been uh, I've been busy, but I probably could have made some videos. It just hasn't been like my biggest priority, but I'll try to do more. But I'm definitely very interested in easing into more of maybe a show type of format and see if I can just like have you guys call in. I know a lot of you wouldn't want to do that, and that's perfectly understandable. It's a big step to even, but we don't necessarily have to talk about remote neural monitoring either. There's a lot of things going on with the politics and the elections and all of that was crazy, and then it's been uh, all the changes that are happening with like economics and the immigration stuff. It's all very interesting, and there's just a lot of things we could talk about. So you don't have to necessarily talk about remote neural monitoring or gang stalking if you want to call in. Um, but I'll try to see about setting up some of that stuff and see if we can start doing some like a regular, maybe a weekly thing like that. It interests me a lot, and I'm definitely interested in doing that, something like that, and having you guys be a part of it, so we could kind of take it to that next level. We have a huge audience on this channel, a lot of people that have dealt with exactly what we're dealing with, and I think it would be good for everyone else to hear from all of us and just kind of join in the conversation and talk about it rather than just hear about my same old story. The gang stalkers that I've dealt with and the things that they're doing. Like I've talked about all of that. Now, I don't think they've come up with something new in ages, so it's not like I got anything new to talk about. I can tell you the new things that happen, but it'd be the same old things they've always done, and they still do and are still doing on a daily basis. So, but I'm doing well. I'm doing very well, and I hope you guys are doing very well. And just look out for more information coming on how we can maybe put something together where people can call in, talk for 5 or 10 minutes, and I can start being uh, just kind of the host to let you guys talk about things more rather than just my same old story all the time. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one.